Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening and a warm welcome to yet another Red and Blue review. My name is Nick Philpott. I'm your host this evening. I'm shortly going to be joined by a very special panel. But while I'm waiting for them to join, please make sure you go onto our YouTube channel and hit the like and subscribe button. You can watch this and all of our other preview shows and review shows on Alexa. Just ask it to play your latest Red and Blue review podcast. We also have our own Instagram channel, Red and Blue Review. On Facebook, of course, which is where you're watching us now. Feel free to go on there, like, subscribe, and share to wherever you are in the world. And you're welcome to join us here on the Red and Blue Review. We are the only Crystal Palace podcast you can watch. So let's have a conversation. Nigel, are you going to bring the other gentlemen on the show for us? Bring them up because I can't see anybody else at the moment. Here we go. Right now, Mr. Noble, very good evening to you.
Evening, Mr. Philpott. How are we?
I'm all right. Before I introduce our special guest in a second, and I will do, Mitt, I'm coming to you in a minute, I'm a little bit worried about Mr. Noble. Ian Noble, who comes from, look, he's been keeping some real dodgy company recently. He's a very well-to-do gentleman, is Mr. Noble. And look at the two ruffians he went to sell up with last night. For your benefit, Mitt, okay, the guy on the right is my normal co-host. What is that badge on your coat there, Ian? It looks like a Man United badge.
I think it's been photoshopped on, isn't it? It's not me. What is it? Barcelona?
No, Hogwarts, isn't it? Isn't it? That
I see. Oh, is it? I see. Harry Potter. Oh, yeah, very funny. Yeah. It won't be. It's not the first time. It won't be the last time. Don't worry, I can handle it. My youthful good looks and all that, you know.
Yeah, I'm very cool. Also, the other guy on the left is Tim Richards, who's regularly on the show as well. Neither of them are available for this evening. But anyway, Ian, I'm concerned about the company you're keeping, mate. Please, you must try harder, okay?
Well, funny enough, the guys I've been sitting with for like 25 years said exactly the same thing on WhatsApp after the experience of sitting next to Gel Holyoke for 95 minutes yesterday. But there we are. He begged me for a ticket, so I sort of had to concede, really. But it was good to see him in all seriousness. And Tim as well. He's making up for lost time, is Tim, having been in New Zealand all those years. So he's keen to get to any game he can. He's already asked me about the Watford match. So there we are.
I'll keep my eye on who's in the chat. Good evening to all of you watching. Andy, Stacey, Daniel, I can see you out there. Keith, I hope you're well, mate. And Chris. Paul Bristow, good evening from Plymouth. I hope you're well. Wherever you are watching this show, anywhere in the world, we regularly have people on from New Zealand, Australia, Canada. Wherever you are watching in the world, you are welcome to the Red and Blue Review. Don't forget, we are the only podcast you can watch. I've already done it once, but I'm going to do it again, so don't forget. Okay, please go onto our Instagram page. What do you do on Instagram, Mitt? Do you like it, share it? What do you do?
Post, like, comment.
Right, a bit like Facebook then, yeah?
A little bit, I would say.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I'm about to introduce you to a new member of the team, because he just told me, as he's not married, he doesn't have children, he's regularly available on a Sunday evening. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm introducing you to Mithil Patel. Mitt, welcome to the Red and Blue Review, mate.
Evening, all.
Now, we've had a very brief meet. We've only ever met once. Okay?
Interaction.
We had one interaction, and from that one interaction, which lasted no more than, I don't know, what was it, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I decided at that point, and I said to our mutual friend that we were with that night, I said, oh my God, that bloke has got such serious Palace history and Palace knowledge. This bloke is going to be on the show. So, and hence you are.
Well, I'm glad you thought so, because my friends don't.
Mate, listen, you are welcome aboard. So, I need you now to tell everybody watching and everybody that's listening back on a podcast, okay, your Palace history. When did you first go to the Selhurst Park, and how long have you been a season ticket holder? Where do you sit in the ground? And then we're going to finish up on Ron Nodes. Over to you.
Well, I'd say maybe 14-ish, probably. We've sat in, our season ticket is Arthur Waite V Block. And just never really moved from there. Don't choose to go to any other part of the stadium. We're just pretty much stuck there in between that centre pole where we can't really see bits, or the clock for that matter. But it is where we've always been. So that's where we are, really.
Okay. And what was your first game? Who was it against?
I can't even remember,
What year then?
I'm not really sure, if I'm honest. I haven't really thought about that.
Well,
But
you were
I
met,
remember
you were 14, so get your fingers out or your abacus and work it out, mate.
Yeah, see, we're the newer generation, right? So we would just use a calculator. We would
use your calculator on your phone then, mate. Yeah.
Let's have a look.
All right. Before we get on to Ron Knows, and we're about to do so, can you grab that picture that's behind you, please?
This little puppy.
This little puppy there. Bring it close to the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, now tell me about that picture, please.
Right. So this, I think, I'm not really like great on dates, but I think maybe 5 to 7 years ago, the club released like a special, only 100 limited editions from, I think, a fairly famous sort of artist who does football prints and stuff, called Zoran Lucic. And this is the certificated number. Don't know if you can see it, but in that corner, where is it? There we go. You might be able to see 3 out of 100.
Really?
Number 3.
Yeah.
And who's got number 1 and number 2 then?
So number 1, unfortunately, Steve Parish collared, and number 2 was Mr. Broughton. Far Winters Wines. But outside of the 2 chairmen there, this is number 3.
Wow. Okay, quite impressive. Now, like I said in your brief introduction, you have some serious background knowledge and history with a former chairman of ours. Tell us about your knowledge about Uncle Ron.
The wonderful Uncle Ron. Obviously, we're all local. And we were friends with obviously his son and his daughter. So from about 14, 15, we've pretty much spent a lot of hours in that house, swum in the pool with the Palace player on the floor, been to the playoff parties where the players were thrown in the pool. A lot of misspent youth in that house, really.
And you're still in touch with the family even now? Obviously, Ron knows.
Yeah, I speak to, his daughter every now and again, Novello, I think is all around the world these days. But yeah, kind of just in touch every now and again. They're not obviously in Purley anymore. But yeah, that's kind of where I had an in-depth relationship with Crystal Palace. Obviously, we used to go into the boardroom in the chairman's box and blah, 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 blah. So, we were very privileged young where we weren't really in the stands. We were more in the boxes, in the chairman's offices and blah, 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 blah. But I guess that was my first real inside interaction into Crystal Palace.
Can I ask a question, Nick? So are the family still Palace fans? They still show an interest?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Red and blue all the way through. Even when he bought Brentford and we used to go to those games, the house was still all Crystal Palace. Everybody, Kelly Jane, Ryan, Ross, all Crystal Palace fans. And we're all from the local area. So, it didn't really matter that he bought Brentford. No one was ever going to switch.
Brentford weren't very good then, were they?
No, again, he's done them well too. Now look at them.
Yeah,
from the foundations he put in then, they springboarded.
Yeah, Steve Coppell spoke fondly of his time at Brentford, so much so that his son was a mascot there, and his son is now a Brentford season ticket holder and a big Brentford fan. So it can get you, can't it, from a young age for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Stevie Coppell was one of his. Really, really close with him. Ian Wright, just a great man as far as I'm concerned.
Certainly did great for the football club. Nice story, Mitchell, and really good to have you on board on the team, mate.
Absolutely right. And I'll be honest with you, there's already messages coming through. Hi, Mitchell, and welcome from Georgia Wagru. A couple of others on there saying, welcome aboard, mate. Listen, I think it's safe to say we are one step away from Crystal Palace royalty. We've got Mr. Patel with us. Now, I want to come back to that picture, ladies and gentlemen out in Facebook land. I need your help this evening, please. A bit of homework for you. It's caption time, as it says on there. Give me something funny about that picture there. Obviously, Tim Richards is funny. he makes it look funny as well. Then you got Lord Holyoke, and then himself in the middle there, Mr. Noble. So give us something funny in there. I'm watching every single comment that goes through. Evening Dawn, I can see you out there, and Paul Holden and all the rest. Give us a shout and give us something funny, something amusing about that picture. What can we do with that picture? But keep it clean. It's a family show, so keep it clean. Right, so bit of housekeeping for you, ladies and gentlemen. Very strange thing happened. I'm on early this week. Okay, and I was saying pre-show that.
Early.
Yeah, it is too early, and I'm up at tomorrow morning. But this morning when I was up at that time, and there is a reason for boring you all with this, was because my email was pinged at 2:30 this morning. And it was Crystal Palace emailing out at 2:30 this morning. They seem to, what I'm about to read out to you, seems to have come from left field. They've kept it very quiet. Crystal Palace will take on Premier League opponents Liverpool in the inaugural Standard Chartered Singapore Trophy 2022 on the 15th of July as part of their landmark pre-season tour. The game precedes Palace's trip to Melbourne, Australia, where they will face Manchester United on the 19th of July, and will also be the club's first visit to Asia since 2017 pre-season tour to Hong Kong. Now, something as big as that, boys, a game against Liverpool in Singapore, and they tweet it out, they emailed it out at 3 o'clock this morning. What was all that about? Any ideas?
Well, we knew it was coming because if you read the programme notes, Steve Parish alluded to it in his programme notes last night, that there will be an announcement about the pre-season games. But I can't get too excited about it, Nick, to be honest with you. I know there's a small number of people that would go to that. They go to every single Crystal Palace game that's played on this planet. But for the vast majority of us, a trip to Singapore and Australia is beyond the budget. You know, it's beyond the budget, even by cattle class. You know, if you go in, fantastic. If you plan to go, good on you. I've done a couple of trips in the past. I went to America in 2009 and saw 2 games there pre-season. And I've been to Sweden as well pre-season. So I've done it a little bit, but I haven't been as far as Singapore or Australia. So I just hope that we'll be able to watch it on the Palace website live. I think it goes out at 1:30 British summer time on a Friday. So, you know, you nip off work or take a long lunch hour on that Friday and watch it live. But if you're going out there, good luck to you. And let us know if you're going. Anyone's planning on going. Be interesting to know.
I think it's a smart move commercially as well. It's good that we're just getting out there globally. It shows the shift of where we're going as a club.
Well, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, you're royalty. So you're not planning on going out?
I mean, I'll have a word with my secretary and have a look at my diary, but it could be, you know, I'm very busy at that time of the year, so I'll have to double check. I'll come back on that.
So when's the World Cup is in when? October, November, is it?
November. Starts
November,
in
I think.
21st of November is the opening game.
Okay, I'm watching the amusing captions going through. One of them's on the screen. We'll come back to those later in the show, I think. Give it a chance for some more of them to come through. What we're going to do this evening, ladies and gentlemen, Ian and Nigel both went to the Newcastle game. I think that least said on that one is probably better. We'll talk about last night's game at Selhurst Park, and we're going to finish up later on. We'll be talking about up and coming fixtures and what to do about a particular problem. But as you can see on your screen, we have done something as a Palace fan base today, and I need your help. Look on screen, top right-hand corner is double goal scorer at the weekend, Molly Sharp. She's had a cracking season for the ladies. The girls are currently sitting, I think, in 3rd place. They played their last game at Hayes Lane on Sunday, last home game of the season. They've got 2 away games left to play. And the voting, as you can see on there, I don't know who the 2 in blue are, okay, off the top of my head, but the young lady, Melissa Lawley, is from Liverpool, okay, and Molly's obviously in the top right-hand corner. Now, when I first looked at this at 4 o'clock this afternoon, Molly was languishing in 2nd place on 18% of the vote. The other 2 in blue were both bit non-runners and really haven't scored any votes at all. But the girl from Liverpool was absolutely head and shoulders above everybody else. Well, Palace Twitter came into its own because I shared it and retweeted it all around the place, okay? And I'm delighted to say, as of 5 minutes before we came on air, Molly was in first place now, and the girl from Liverpool in second place, which is what we love to see. So if you have not voted on Twitter, would you please get there? You see it scrolling across your screen. Just go onto the Red and Blue Review Twitter page if it's easier for you. Find the link on there. It's a very easy thing to do. Click on the link and vote for the player. That's it. It's finished. Okay. But get on there. Let's get Molly to be player of the weekend, please, because I think the club needs some serious respect about what they've done with the ladies team this year, and hopefully that's going to continue into the. I mean, this is they shouldn't be where they are in the league, but they're doing fantastically under Dean Dab. I was delighted at Box Park Wembley to spend 5 minutes with Dean. They obviously there's Sunday's result 2-1. I think it was Watford they were playing. Yeah, and I saw Dean had 5 minutes with him. And like I say, a couple of lovely with the girls. They know that they have the absolute backing of the Red and Blue Review, and it will continue to do so next season as well. So congratulations to Dean and the girls for a wonderful, wonderful season. Let's hope for a better one next season. You never know. We might even finish challenging. So that was that. Nigel putting that on screen has taken me off of it. And then we're going to talk about the up-and-coming fixtures. With the remaining fixtures, where do you think we're going to finish? I'm going to get the opinion of these two reprobates as well and find out where they think we're going to finish at the end of the season. Currently sitting in 14th place. Ian made the very valid point earlier on before the show that we've drawn so many games. And what did you say? Was it?
You're trying to steal my thunder and making a bad job of it, aren't you?
Go on.
Just ask me the question, and I'll answer it.
Ian, what's the question?
I was basically saying, guys, that if you look at the league table, we're 14th, okay? We've won 8, drawn 14, and lost 11 games. We've lost the same number of Premier League games as Arsenal and Tottenham, who are sitting 4th and 5th in the Premier League. That's a third of our games we've lost. Now, the problem we've had, of course, is turning these draws into victories. And it's not so much recently, but, you go back to the autumn, the Brighton at home game, the Arsenal away game, the Newcastle at home game. Those 3 games, we certainly should have won those 3 games. That's 6 extra points. So, do you know what? I can't help feeling that if Patrick Vieira can solve this problem, and it's a massive if he can find a striker that knows where the net is, if he can get an Andy Johnson in our team, a striker that can score 15 to 20 goals a season, then we can challenge we not only challenge top half, and you laugh at me if you like, but we can challenge top 8, top 6 if we can score those goals in the current climate and keep everything else together. So that's really the point I was trying to make, Nick, is that we've lost the same number of games as the teams that are sitting in 4th and 5th in the Premier League. So there's no reason why we can't compete.
We're the highest in draws, 14 in the league. But on that premise, I think we were so unlucky in that first 7-8 games because we lost wins, which turned to draws. And I think if we got those wins, which we deserved in those games because we dominated those games until the last minute, we would have been in 4th, 5th, 6th. And I think actually, if we look at it over a series of the season, maybe that's the development of the maturity that Vieira has instilled in this side, that we can actually protect games now. Whereas in the first 7-8 games, it was all too new.
Yeah, absolutely. And, no one expected Patrick Vieira to pull up trees in his first season. And if we finished mid-table, which it looks likely we're going to, whether that's 10th, 11th, 12th or 13th, who knows? If it's mid-table and an FA Cup semi-final, that's got to be seen as a successful season, whichever way you look at it.
Right. Now you question, okay. I was going to pose a question to you both towards the end of the show, but I'm going to do it now. We will come on to the Newcastle game. We're definitely going to do the Leeds game in a minute. But now Ian's asked that question. Both of you, I have a question for you. Hypothetical question. Here we go. Arteta does not make Champions League. He doesn't finish 4th, okay? He finishes outside the Champions League place and then loses his job. Do we lose Vieira?
No. Well,
I think we're agreed. Go on, Mitchell.
One, I don't see Arsenal, even if that was to happen, Arsenal are never sacking Arteta, at least for another couple of years. They believe in a project. I believe they're going in the right direction. They're buying young players. They have a system. They're more resilient. I think they're very similar to us. And it makes sense. Arteta and Vieira come from the same coaching philosophy. They both were in the same 12 people who went to Wales and got their academy there. And they both learned under City. So it makes sense.
Anything to add in?
No, your hypothetical question of if Arsenal were to change their manager, would they go in for Vieira? Would he then want to leave us and go to Arsenal? I think possibly in the future, but I don't think he would do that this summer. I think he's got a job to do at Crystal Palace. He's been well treated. He's been well backed at Crystal Palace. And therefore, I think he would want to stay and see it out for at least another season or two and see what he can do. Because no manager has, Koppel aside, no manager has really succeeded at Palace, have they? In the whole history of Crystal Palace Football Club. We've not won anything. We finished third in the top flight under Koppel. We got to a cup final. But, we need to do more than that. Even if it's just a League Cup, and qualifying for the Europa League or something. Those things that will be massive steps for us. And if Patrick Vieira can achieve that and have that on his managerial CV before he goes to a club like Arsenal or, a top 4 club, then I think he would want to do that.
Okay, right. I just want to revert. Mick, I don't think you can see the Facebook chat that's coming through. There's loads of comments in there. Lots of people sending you their best wishes. Lots of people sending you good luck for the show and welcome aboard. Lots of that going on. Caption competition. There is 2 or 3 very good ones. Paul Bristow said Alan Carl gets the interview sweep of the year by catching both of the Mitchell brothers from EastEnders. And there's 2 or 3 more in there, and I'll come back. I'll try and get back to them later on. Tom Clark Samuel saying welcome Mitchell. Daniel Garlick saying welcome to the party Mitchell, and so on and so forth. So lots of warm feelings for you out there, mate. So as I say, we are delighted.
We're only 20 minutes in. I'll wait till we're finished to see the real comments.
And don't forget, you can go back. Because you're watching this on your laptop, you can't see the Facebook page. You can go back and review all the comments, and you can go to the YouTube channel when it gets posted after the show as well. Right, Ian, Newcastle away. Gutting result. Absolutely dog's dinner of a performance. Your thoughts? Give me an overview on the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd agree with that final comment. Clearly we weren't quite at our best. There's no doubt about that. It was a little bit after the Lord Mayor's show. Semi-final. Vieira said as much. It was probably on their minds a little bit. We had that opportunity at Wembley. We didn't take it. It's just 3 days later. We had to travel for it. It's not like it's a home game 3 days later. And it's a long old trip up to the northeast, isn't it, Nigel, who lives just 10 miles away from St James's Park. And it was good to see you, Nigel, last week up in Newcastle. So I got up there about 5 o'clock, had a few beers, got into the ground. Palace support that night. Let's talk about the support. We had about 800 to 900 fans up there. We only booked 2 blocks, which normally on a Saturday would have 3 blocks at least and make a little bit more noise. It is a horrible away end. You're stuck up there in the corner, miles and miles from the pitch. You certainly see the game from a very different perspective to any other ground that you're watching football, unless you happen to be in the back row of the top tier at Wembley, I suppose. We didn't start very well. Newcastle, one thing you've got to say about Newcastle and St James's Park is their fans are magnificent. They're one club city. The support 51,000 was just black and white flags everywhere. They had a massive number 10 at the Gallagate end for St Maxim, to show their appreciation for him. But if you look at these match stats there, we had 64% possession. Shots, fairly even. Shots on target, they slightly better. We had more corners and the fouls were dead even. But, we certainly came into the game more in the second half. Just a quick word about their goal. Their goal was excellent. The guy took it brilliantly. It was a great pass. And I can't help thinking that Mitchell was slightly off his game. We now know that he's injured, whether he's carrying that injury during the game as well. he wasn't. He had about a 5-yard head start on Almiron, and he lost the race. Now, I don't think Joel Ward loses that race. I think Joel Ward takes Almiron out. He doesn't get an opportunity to take that shot on. He still had a lot to do, of course, and he did brilliantly to put Newcastle 1 up. And yet, we had our chances to equalise. And if we had done, no one could have complained. You couldn't have complained if that game had finished 1-1. And the chances that Wilf had, the shot he dragged wide in the second half up our end, and then the one in stoppage time when, the commentators are going, there's 10 seconds left. And then Wilf, he's on the left-hand side. We've seen him score from there before. The Norwich goal springs to mind, at Wade Norwich when he scored like that. And he gets on his right foot and he just has too much on it. But if that goes in the top corner, we're all saying, what a fantastic goal and what a great point salvage. So, margins are very, very fine. But when we came out of St James's Park, Nige, you'd think Newcastle had won the Premier League. The way they were celebrating. They won 6 games. They won 6 home games on the trot, which is no mean feat. But you think they won the Premier League the way they were celebrating. I kid you not.
Yeah.
But there we go. Nige, do you want to add anything?
I've got a video clip, but I won't play it here. I'll put it on somewhere else. But it's just that stupid dance that St Maximin did.
Oh yes,
that nutmeg.
Did you put the river dance music on top of it? Because that's what I thought.
How to look an idiot in one easy lesson. Yeah. He was just absolute idiot. But they had one good chance. Second half, the way I was looking at it, they just set up 2 banks of 4, and they weren't going to let us pass. And Joe Linton, well, time wasting. He's got a degree in it, sort of for that match.
I do like the Mateta time wasting antics. Have you seen Mateta? When the goalkeeper wastes time, he did it at Leicester and he did it again at Newcastle. He's going like this.
I've seen him do that. I've seen as he's walking back, he just goes like that.
It's almost as famous as the corner flag. He's doing it all the time. And they did waste a lot of time. They're 1-0 up. They're protecting their lead. But as I said, very fine margins, and they probably just about shaded it. And I've been there when we've lost 1-0 before. I've been there when we've won 1-0. It's one of those grounds where there's never normally that many goals. It's normally a very tight game. And we just came out slightly second best on that night, and I think the semi-final has something to do with it. And the players were a little bit jaded, so that's my take on it, guys.
Important what you said earlier on that it was after the Lord Mayor's show. People were very flat after that performance at Wembley. I think every single bit of credit needs to go to each and every one of you fans, you included, Ian, for those that made that trip up to Newcastle. So shortly after. Not you, mate, because you live in
COVID central.
It cost you £2.50 in a bloody Uber to get home, mate. Okay, whereas those 800 or 900 fans that did go out there, they need to be congratulated. Palace, bear in mind this is pre-Leeds and post-Newcastle. Palace had failed to score in 7 of their 15 Premier League away games this season. Only Norwich 10 and Watford 9 had drawn blanks in more away fixtures in the Premier League this season. Palace, as Ian quite rightly said, improved after the half-time and pinned the home side back in the closing stages. But other than Zaha's 2 efforts off target that really looked like leaving St James's Park with a share of the spoils. I watched that game and I watched most of it on a stream. It was a tough watch. And I think a lot of it is the fallout from Wembley. I was equally as concerned for last night's game, and I'm glad to say it didn't materialise, simply because I was worried that knock-on effect. And you've seen it happen to teams over the years. They've had a great cup run, and then fall out at the last stages, and then their league form falls away for the rest of the season. Well, after last night's performance, I'm delighted to say that it didn't happen. Should we move on to the Leeds game? Did you have any stats available, Mick? I just want to know, before Ian does an overview of have you got anything?
In general, or are we talking about just yesterday?
Yeah, do the season ones if you got any.
Well, season-wise, just a complete change of everything that we've become accustomed to for 5-10 years. So even if you just look at our possession stats, we were 17th or 18th last season with 36%. At the moment, I think we're running about 51, which puts us in the top 7. You know, and that's a seismic shift of the way you play football. And that's all down to Patrick. You know, his philosophy, his way of doing things. You know, we've had to get rid of what? How many players? 10, 12? Aging players. And there's another stat. Our average age was the highest in the Premier League last season. He's reduced that this season by 3 years already in one transfer window. If you look at the 6 players we bought in, 78 million, that's 30 million more than we spent in the last 7 windows with Roy. And then you look at the players, there's 6 of them. 4 of them are 19 to 22. And the other one happened to be over 25. So, you know, it's a seismic shift, because if you look at who Roy was buying, we were buying people like at the end of their careers, journeymen. You know, Connor Wickham, like, why were you in the club for that many years? You know, Benteke scored like 5 goals in 3 years, but still he gets to get paid the highest in the club. You know, the only one that I would say worked, an absolute treat, was Cahill.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, players are coming for their retirement. And that's the difference. If you sign players at the end of their career, and let's be honest, we didn't sign like great players. They're looking for like their final payday, a nice, easy life. If you're signing players who are going to sign their first or their second big contract, well, they're not doing it to move somewhere nice and have an easy life. They're doing it because they're hungry and they want to progress. So they'll learn, they'll develop, they'll try harder. And that's what he's shifting towards. In
your opinion, now, by the way, Nigel Croucher, as my stats man for the Red and Blue Review, you're fired, okay? Because I don't need you anymore, okay? Because we got me. So, Mick, in your opinion, just give me a rough idea of what you think how many do you think we need in the summer window?
So, the first thing I would do is get a top quality, young, brave right back. I mean, you know, the players that fit that mould, one of them's getting relegated. Let's take Max Aarons. The absolute perfect fit. You know, Aarons on the right, everybody knows his ability. He's attacking, he's aggressive. We've got Mitchell, who is incredible. And we've got 2 calm ball players at the back. And that's how Patrick plays. He plays through the back, possession, invite the opposition, and then be calm enough when you've got pressure on you to find that ball through the lines to the pivot player. Then the pivot player just literally releases the wide men quickly. And within 1 or 2 passes, we're in the box and you've got your chance. And the wide men can come in, leaving those Max Aaron and Tyrick. So the wide men will be inverted wingers and they create the overlap. So you've got 2 options: come inside, bang the ball, goal. Or,
Mr. Noble, what have I unearthed here, Mr. Noble?
I tell you what, you make it sound so easy, Mitchell. So easy. But you're right, of course. You know, you're absolutely spot on.
Honestly, it all comes down to Patrick and his coaching philosophy.
Absolutely.
He follows the mould of Klopp and Pep, but it's a hybrid type system. So Klopp is very much high intensity, you know, pressing like quickly. And as soon as you've got the ball, 100 miles an hour up the field. Pep is the same, high intensity, high press, but he'll just pass it through you. And there's the difference. And for us, we have the ability to do, in essence, both, because we've got wide, fast men.
I'm loving your positivity. I'm loving the fact that your specs are red and blue tinted more than mine, which is great, you know. So fantastic. So Nick asked you about the changes you make. You said a new right back. What else?
Well, it's so difficult to understand. Like, obviously, striker.
Yeah.
Like, I still can't understand if Edouard is a goal scorer because he doesn't really get minutes and consistently at the top of the pitch. Mateta, I'm so impressed with. I didn't think he could run, but he puts in a shift and he actually gets in there.
He's clearly improved. There's no doubt about it.
Benteke, though, you're gone at £120,000 a week. And you've scored us what? 12 goals in 3 years, 4 years?
Mitchell. I agree with you about Benteke. I think his time is up at the club. Although a little cameo yesterday wasn't too shabby. But
no, actually, he was. Every touch he did was great yesterday. Ironically,
I think Mateta has clearly improved massively. Earlier in the season on this show, I was saying, why is he in the team? Why we even got him? Surely we're not going to sign him. Send him back to wherever he came from.
Yeah, I was a little bit like that.
I think for a big fella, he's got fantastic feet. He gets in the right places, but he needs to be doing better. The chance that came over from the right hand side, I think it was Kleiner that crossed it. Was it Kleiner? No,
it did get a little touch, which
I know.
Kind of,
they're 14. Their centre back got a little touch, put him off, and he got the final touch. But that said, I still think if you're a top striker, you need to be doing better than that.
A top striker, actually, when they were running side by side with the defender, I think it was even talked about last night on Sky Sports after the game. A top striker would have come inside him as soon as he saw the defender's number. Because the defender didn't have a clue where he was. And if you get inside of your defender, there's no tackle. And if there is, it's a pen.
And the earlier chance, the one that he was put through, I think it was, it was Gallagher pass maybe, and he gets put through and he has to lob the keeper. The Leeds keeper's coming towards him. If he puts a decent lob in, he scores.
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning of the season, I was kind of saying, look, send him back. We can get Eddie Nikita. He's a fox in the box. That's the guy.
Right. Look, you've got to stop just for a minute, okay? I've got to tell you what's going on in the chat, okay? They are loving this. And if you don't watch this back, I'll go back and look at these comments, Mitchell. You're mad, okay? Paul Holden has just said, look at Nick's face. I love your recruitment, talking about you, okay? Are you Dougie in disguise?
Well, funnily enough, you're the only people who listen to me because my mates tell me I'm crazy.
Well, there we go. There's a few other people watching this.
Because I know we're supposed to be talking about the Leeds game, but we'll do it in a minute because this is too interesting to pass up on.
Oh, no, let's talk about Elise. Let's talk about him.
We'll do that in a minute. Boys, you were talking about what we recruited with youngsters, average age, long-term contracts. Don't forget, most of them are on five-year deals. What you didn't touch on, however, was the experience that you need to have the balance. Now, Paul Bristow quite rightly said, and it's on your screen now, a couple of milestones for the club last night. Wardy's 250 appearance and Schlupp's his 200th appearance, Premier League appearance for the club. Equally as important as the youth and getting the average age down. And I absolutely am.
Like Jimmy Mack, super experienced leader.
There you go. And you just what was that? I was going to ask you about Mac and a couple of others. Ian, your thoughts on any other players last night?
Well, let me just say a word about Joel Ward then, because I think it would be remiss of us to not mention him. I think for me, and I know there were a few people that you could vote for, but if I was voting for a man of the match, I would have voted for Joel Ward. I don't think he put a foot wrong hardly. He made one or two mistakes, but he was brilliant yesterday at left back. Don't forget he's thrown in a position that isn't his natural position. And yet I think he did absolutely fantastically. He wears his heart on his sleeve, takes a lot to wind him up. I mean, when he was fouled badly by Daniel James, who quite rightly got booked, and then he got booked for retaliating. I think it's, that he's passionate about the game when something like that happens. It takes a lot to wind him up. And I thought he had a fantastic game last night at left back, Joel Ward. I also thought MacArthur played brilliantly. His engine was superb. You're concerned with MacArthur, of course. He's 34 or 35. Yeah. How many more games can he do this for? Certainly, has he got another season in him, or hasn't he? We probably need a replacement for him, a like for like, to move us forward. So Wardy and MacArthur were both fantastic. And Jeff Schlupp, 200th Premier League game. Obviously, a lot of those with Leicester, but he's been a great servant for us as well. And I think he's a great asset to have off the bench. He finds the gap. He nearly did it last night again. with the pass to Will for where the keeper saved it at the death. So
Twice
you know,
he did that twice.
yeah, and I think he's you know, you need a player like that in your squad. He might not start every week, but you know, you need to keep players like Schlott needs to be retained, and so does MacArthur, I think. And I'll give Wardy another season probably as well. But you're right, Mitchell. Youth is is the way forward, and we need to recruit younger players. If we're recruiting a right back, it needs to be a younger right back. If we're recruiting a striker, it needs to be a younger striker. And these are the people that have, and they're going to be able to come in and really compete for their places with the players that are here already.
I do have a name for a striker.
You go
that
first.
would absolutely fit our mould and be a 20-goal scorer a season, guaranteed.
Oh, go on then.
And he's not even a number 1, 2, 3, or 4 in his club right now. Divock Origi.
Interesting.
We looked
Big
at
man,
it.
hold the ball, scores goals, played in the biggest games. He's the man.
And we have a very interesting history about signing players from Liverpool.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, it's funny when he came on in the derby, I thought something similar actually. You know, I won't want to presume and say I knew you were going to say that, but I think if he's out of favour at Liverpool, I definitely think it would be worth.
Well, he's a legend there. They love him, but I mean, what's wrong with the swap deal? Benteke for Divock.
Right, hold on.
Win-win.
I'll keep your powder dry a minute, boys, because I'm coming back to you. So we agreed on what? 3 players in the summer window, 3 quality signings. Right. So assuming that you're right, 3 or 4 players in this, I'm going to throw you another hypothetical. I counter your 3 or 4 signings, okay, for 1 Conor Gallagher. Where would you go?
Oh.
And out in Facebook land, while the boys are having a chance to think, I challenge
Okay,
you.
fine. What? So you're guaranteeing we can buy him for 60 mil?
Yeah, so 60 mil or below, we get Conor Gallagher or
I'm not going to think.
4 signings.
Done. Conor Gallagher, and I'll just go buy freebies from academies of the kids who are like superstars at that point.
Ian?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure the price I put on it. You know, 60 million might be a bit too much. I don't know, but yeah, clearly he enjoys his football here. I've said about Conor Gallagher before that if he wants to play in the World Cup for England, which I think he does clearly, he's got to be playing regular football in the Premier League. If he's not going to get that at Chelsea, why would he go back there? Even though it's his boyhood club, surely he'd want to stay another season. So even if we don't sign him for next season permanently, he says to his agent, "I want another season's loan at Crystal Palace, so I can go to the World Cup." And then he'll take it from there. So that's what I think and I hope will happen.
I just need to say one quick hello in the chat. Phil Usher, good evening to you, mate. You're out of order. Don't you dare send me emojis of cakes. You send me cakes. That was the arrangement. You don't send me emojis of cakes. You send me cakes. And you failed to do so far. But best wishes to you, mate. Hope you and the family are well. Sorry, Mattel. Carry on, mate.
I was going to say, and the good thing about Connor that we can kind of rest a little bit of hope on, his best mate is Mark Gailey since they were 6 years old at the academy. He's played with Elise going up through the international teams, and also obviously Eze. Then you've got Tyrick coming through. So there's a real England youth association there, and they all know that Patrick is actually making them all better. Because let's be honest, had you or anybody heard of people singing through the roofs about Mark Gay at Swansea or Connor when he was at Swansea or West Brom? Nobody. But we've created positions for these players to excel and show the case. He will get that at Chelsea.
Okay, the one that I moved you away from one player a minute ago, and I never gave you the opportunity to come back. I'd like you to spend 1 minute, if you'd be so kind, and eulogise on Michael Elise, please. What have we got there? What have we got?
I mean, you are talking about, I said to my mate the other day, I think we're looking at an 80 to 100 mil player when we sell him on in possibly hopefully longer, but I reckon maybe in 2 years' time is where he gets sold. But I believe this kid has got something you don't see. His football IQ is off the charts. He scans before he even receives the ball. So he knows exactly where everyone is, which is why you'll see him, unlike Ayew, having a million touches, trying to run past a million players. If there is a right ball and it's simple, he'll play it. And he can do everything from split defenses to walk by players and make them look like children. I mean, the one on the touchline yesterday, I don't even know how he's on the touchline, but yet can slip past someone.
2 feet. Ian,
It
if I may ask you a question. When we first saw Eze, okay, we had the same thoughts about Eze. What the hell have we unearthed? What's the difference? You know, who's the better player in your opinion, Eze or Elise, Ian?
A very difficult question to answer. I think at this moment in time, Elise. But I think what you've got to remember is Eberechi Eze's injury. And I think he's still recovering from that. You know, he's still not quite the player he was. I think he's better. You know, he had a full 90 minutes in the semi-final and he played again yesterday. So, look, you know, I like Eze a lot. I think he's got a part to play in the squad. The thing about him with Crystal Palace, he's not the star player that he was at QPR. The same with Elise. He's not necessarily the star player that he was at Reading. Wilf is no longer the star player that he was 2 years ago with us. We've got other players that can do special things. And you're right, that Elise thing on the touchline, it was right in front of us. I couldn't quite believe it.
I mean, Ebbs did one on our side because we're at the Arthur Way.
Well,
he did the same thing.
So would you agree with me that Michael Elise isn't the finished article by any stretch of the imagination?
No way at all. I mean,
you know,
when they're that talented, you don't get the finished article at that age. But in comparison to everyone else at his age level, I mean, even in the top 5 European tables and stats, he is as high in terms of big chances created versus minutes played. I think he's on 5 assists and maybe 3 goals or something like that right now. He's in the position of people like Haaland and Nkunku in terms of the stats. I mean, once he has because I think Patrick is making all of these players better. So once he gets his hands on Elise,
can I just say then that I just want to see him do a bit more in terms of finishing and end product this season in the 5 games that are left. You know, he came on last night, did brilliantly. You know, almost made a goal or 2, but he's got to do that. He's got to either assist or score for me in the final 5 games, and I think he will. Jamie Chambers says, if we're so good, why are we 14th in the table? I think we've done that one, Jamie. I think we've talked about that. In as much as
it's all about next season. It is. Next season.
It's about bedding down. It's about bedding this squad down. It's about Patrick finding his way in the Premier League and all the rest of it. So, you know, we're all super positive here on this show. But there we are. Nick, back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching the Red and Blue review. I know we're supposed to be reviewing last night's game, but I think you will, hopefully in the chat, you'll agree with me that this conversation between the 2 guys has been absolutely fascinating this evening. And it's like an injection of new blood into the team and something that is long overdue. Yes, mate.
Can I just say that we've actually been very, very smart in the last couple of years. So our academy is one of the best. So we're not going to lose the amazing talent in South London to Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, because they'll come to our academy because it is absolutely top notch.
Yep.
And not only that, we picked the best player out of the Championship when we stole Eze for like 14 million. And let's be honest, he is as smooth as silk. I understand he hasn't hit numbers this season, but that's because he was injured and he's coming back. And I don't think Patrick has found a position for him that we're comfortable with that gives us some sort of defensive protection. So he hasn't really found a position for him, which I don't know. Whereas, you know, can we play Eze, Elise, Zaha, you know, that many players?
I think that will come during the development for the next season. Ian, I think what I need you to do is do a quick overview on last night's game with you, be so kind, which is obviously what we're here to do. I'm not making any apologies for the fact that we're keeping the 2 reviews quite short, please.
No, not at all. Okay, Nick. Well, look, you know, it won't take long to talk about because there weren't any goals. I think as far as I think as far as 0-0 draws are concerned, it wasn't a bad game. I was disappointed to see on the BBC saying it's one of the worst games ever on the thread. Crazy. So here we go, 53% possession. That we had 17 shots last night. 7 of them were on target, for crying out loud. Their goalkeeper was man of the match, really. Yeah, that lad, he made some fantastic saves. And Leeds fans, I saw a post on social earlier today, Leeds rating their players. The goalkeeper got 8 out of 10. Everyone else got 4s or 3s or 5s. So,
Wow.
that's the difference. Can we leave the stats back, please, Nige? So you've got dirty Leeds there. I'm going to just say only one more
only
foul,
one less.
but I think it's worth pointing out they were dirty, weren't they? Filthy club.
Ref was shocking.
Yeah, absolutely. But we had the majority of possession. We had all the stats were there. We just couldn't put the ball away. And I think we had those chances in the first half I alluded to earlier. The Mateta lob, Kleiny's cross with Zaha had a header over the bar. The chance that we talked about earlier where Ayew crossed it and Mateta got a touch to it. And then another header from a set piece. So Mateta had a double Zaha one. First half. Say again, Mattel.
I said plus the double Zaha one where the keeper just saved it with his legs and then
I'm coming to that, mate. I'm coming to that. Second half. I'm coming to that. Yeah. So yeah, of course. Yeah, Zaha had those opportunities in the second half, and Elise made a difference when he came on. I thought for sure. Eze's free kick that was put out to Gallagher. Gallagher took it sort of pretty sharpish, just stuck it over the bar. And then right at the death, the one you're talking about, Mattel, was when Schlupp put him through and Wilf had 2 shots that he saved both with his leg. So, on another day we score a goal and it just wasn't our night. And I just hope that he captures all that and we can go down to St Mary's on Saturday and give those scum, they are actually.
We need to win.
Hiding. And I've never forgiven them. Mitchell, what you don't realise is that I'm old enough to remember the 1976 FA Cup semi-final, and I have never liked Southampton since then. And I'm looking forward to Saturday and hope we can go down and batter them.
That's good. Yeah, -3 in that year.
Well, there you go.
Comes to mind, gentlemen. James Ward-Prowse. Patrick Vieira said, despite the result, Vieira says it was the kind of display that he and the players had trained for in the build-up to the game. What was really important was the performance, he explained, and I think that's right. I think the tempo was so much better. Hello, Nigel. Did you want to jump in there, mate?
Just listening in, so just agreeing with Ian about the 76.
Yeah, and so just so again, so you're aware, I'm even getting private messages on my phone. People know that I'm broadcasting from my phone about your performances. Well done, mate. Right, boys, we'll draw a line on it. So a disappointing 0-0. I think we should have won it last night. But onwards to the Southampton game, which brings me nicely onto where I want to finish the show up. I want to talk about the next few games. Away at Southampton, home to Watford. Okay, and you know what I'm coming to there. Away at Villa, which I think will be tricky. Away at Everton. You know what I'm coming to there, boys. And then home, the last game of the season, Man United. We'll do the Southampton game first. Where do you think, Ian, what do you think is going to happen on Saturday? They've got a bit of form at the moment, haven't they?
Yeah, they have got a bit of form, but, I'm going to go for an away win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Palace win. Come back to me, Nick, about the April competition that we're running, won't you, before the end of the show? But I'm going for a win at St Mary's on Saturday, 2-1.
Missile, your thoughts for the Saturday game?
I'm going for we're bouncing back 3-1.
Positivity there. And I'm also going for an away win, 2-1. I think the one I'm really looking forward to is the home game on the 7th of May, 3 o'clock kickoff, Watford. Could everything align? Could everything align and we physically send Watford packing out of the Premier League? How joyous would that be after all the recent history, that muggy club near Luton, okay? Because that's what they are. But, by the way, good evening to Simon in Canada. I know you're there. That muggy, horrible club in Luton who would want to be a London club, but they never will be a London club. And Palace get to send them down. Okay, your thoughts, both of you. Score prediction for those two games, please. Nigel, I hope you're making note of these, by the way, because we're going to come back and pin these two down at the end of the season, okay? Nice. Write these down. So, Mr. I'll start with you this time. Palace at home to Watford.
Oh, it's given 3-0, 4-0. Absolutely ruined them. I don't see any problems with that one.
You can't have both, one or the other.
All right, I'll take 3-0.
Fair enough. Mr. Nobes.
2-0.
Yeah, and I'm actually only for 1-0. But do you know what? I don't care as long as we get to do the dirty and we actually physically send them down. Ladies and gentlemen, out in the Facebook land, your thoughts on the Watford game? Bear in mind, we're rattling through all these games, so I need to know which game you're talking about. Daniel, I can see your 4-0 Palace. I presume you're talking about the Watford game there, okay? This one out, I think will probably be the most tricky one out of all of the games coming up. Away at Villa. Villa are one of those teams that are either absolutely on it or they're bloody atrocious, okay?
Yeah.
Ian, Villa away, please.
I'll go for a plucky 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I think that's probably a very good prediction. Mick?
I also think we're going to draw that game. So, but I'm going to go 2-2.
Okay. And I actually think we'll either win that game handsomely, 3-0, or we'll lose it 1-0. It'll be one of those games because you never know what sort of Villa are going to turn up. We'll have to see. And the other one that I cross my fingers for is the next one.
Yeah.
Everton versus Crystal Palace. Okay, so this is the rearranged fixture. This is on the 19th of May, 19:45 in the evening at Goodison Park. I think, am I right in saying, Ian, this is our last game at Goodison Park that we'll be playing there?
No, well, if they get relegated, yeah.
No.
But if
Actually,
if they stay up, their new ground's not ready yet, is it? So
I thought it was close.
I don't know.
Right, okay, so let's hopefully it is the last game we play in the Premier League, that's for sure. And we get to send a set of Scousers down. Ladies and gentlemen, hang on, Fergus has said 2-1 Palace away at Goodison Park. Go on, mate.
I was just going to say, we get to send Frank down. And that's actually, I'm looking forward to that more than I am to Watford because Frank, when obviously there were discussions, said, I don't want Palace. It's too big a project. I'm too big for that. So let's send him down.
Great shout. Loving it. I love your thought process. Ian?
I'm going to go for an away win. I'm going to agree with Ferg, 2-1. But what you got to remember about Fergus is that he predicts every single Palace game 2-1. Every single game is 2-1 with Ferg. So, yeah.
Tom Clark Samuel says Fat Frank 1, Super Pat 2. Excellent. And the last game of the season, I mean, this could have.
I'm going 1-3 for that game. We win that 3-1.
What, Man United?
No, Everton.
Keep up.
Because you didn't get a score from me, did you?
I'm sorry.
No, you're right, Mitchell. He missed you out.
I did miss you out. I beg your pardon.
It's okay. I know the hearing goes in people's old ages and that.
I've got 2 ears and they're both there. Look, okay. Right. So we got the last game of the season. Now this could have been a very important game for Palace. You know, if you think about what everybody was predicting at the beginning of the season, that Palace would have been in deep doggy doo-doo. Okay. Patrick Vieira was going to be the first manager sacked this season. I think there's been 11 so far, and Patrick's still
relegation
there.
Fodder is what we were called.
Fodder, and their final game of the season, and Fergus has done it again, 2-1 to Palace. is Man United, and it could have been the trapdoor that we didn't want. Of course, it's going to be nothing like it. And somebody actually had the balls in the chat earlier on to ask, "Are we safe yet?" Mathematically, no, we're not. What's his name? What's the dog's name?
Bolt,
as in you say.
Yeah. Got him at the London 2020 Olympics.
He's lovely, mate. He's lovely.
I mean, sorry, 12 even.
We like Bolt is always welcome. He's been really well behaved throughout the show. Right. Missile, you first. Man United at home, final game of the season.
Oh, like highlight reel, end of the season, 3-1. We'll smash them.
Nigel, I hope you're making a note of these because we're going to pin these two blokes down at the end of the season. Ian.
3-0 Palace.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
They can't score, can they? That's true.
I love your optimism. Look, boys, I am looking at all your predictions in the chat. Ian saying 3-1 Palace. Mark Bush was saying a draw 2-2. Do you know what, Mark? I don't think you're a million miles off. I'm actually going for a draw myself. I'm going 1-1, end of the season. Bit of a party atmosphere from both sides. Nothing to play for. Man United aren't involved in anything. And Keith Diamond saying 2-1 Palace. Chloe, hello, Chloe, you see Missile do it, okay? And you see how easy he's made it. You're next. I'm coming to get you. You are coming to the show. Chloe's saying 3-1 Palace against Man United. And Chloe, I might bring you on for the last game of the season review because Nigel will make a note of that. Chloe said 3-1 Nigel. Okay, please write that down. Chloe, I'm coming to get you. You're coming on the review. Mick, go.
Based on all of our score lines there, I would just like to say that would mean we finish the season with a positive goal difference, which in our entire history in the Premier League, we have never had.
And that, gentlemen, in a nutshell, is why he's on the show and will continue to do so going forward. I had no idea. Is that right? We've never had a positive goal difference in Premier League.
Nope. I don't even think we've been inside the top 10, have we?
We finished 10th, haven't we?
Yeah. So, you know, already Patrick is killing it.
Blimey. And Chloe's come back to me. She said, I'll be aware of that. Nick's coming for me. I think you need to be, Chloe, as well. You need to be very concerned. But I promise you, in our private chat, I would hold your hand and make it easy for you. And I absolutely mean it. Come and join us on the show. It really is very easy. It's just talking dribble all evening about Crystal Palace. And we can all talk cobblers about Palace. Boys, I think we've taken up enough of these people's time. What is the time?
Nick, I need to talk about this competition that we're still running.
I'm coming to it right now. Yeah, and the April, I believe it is. Is it April competition we're still in?
Yeah. So what we'll do, I think, because we don't want to hold this for another season, I think we'll do another one for May because we've got 4 games in May now. You've heard our predictions, so you can do your own predictions. But we did an April points predictor. And at the time, we didn't know whether the Everton game was going to come into April. Of course, it didn't. It went into May. So it's 5 games, Arsenal, Leicester, Newcastle, Leeds, Southampton. We've got 4 points from those 4 games so far. And so if you predicted 4, 5 or 7 points, you have a chance of winning. If you didn't predict 4, 5 or 7, you've got Bob hope or no hope of winning at all. And we'll announce the winner on next Sunday's show after the Southampton game, which I unfortunately won't be on, but Nick will, I'm sure. And you'll have a choice of the ZDS final programme signed by Steve Coppell or the Blackburn home game, which was Steve Coppell's first game in charge of Crystal Palace, which is the one I want, actually. I want that programme, but I'm not going to get it. Hey-ho. So good luck to everyone. If you predicted 4, 5 or 7 points, you've got a chance of winning one of those.
Just out of curiosity, who was one of the 2 winners in the March competition?
I don't know.
I was and I got eliminated because I.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, okay, fair enough. I have a short memory.
Yeah, that's age, and I'm telling you now, that's age. Guys, give me one thing of positivity before we wrap this show up. Ian.
Last night, a clean sheet and another great night under the lights at Sellers Park.
Nigel.
Good thing from last night. We didn't get beat. It was an all-round good performance. It was just we were up against a very determined and dirty Leeds.
Nigel, thank you for your hard work in the background. Tom Clark Samuel, thank you for your hard work on Instagram, ladies and gentlemen. Please give it a like, share, or follow, or whatever you do on Instagram. I'm too old to know. Missile, one bit of positivity from you, please.
Resilient performance, mature, didn't concede from a very, very, very fit, high-pressed intensity Leeds. And we stopped the losing rot. So bounce back ability.
Positivity in the chat. Keith says 10th second season. Palace finished 9th in the league is what they're saying. Positivity. Want to see Missile and Gel on the next show. Okay, yeah, that'd be quite interesting, seeing who gets a word in edgeways between those two, wouldn't it? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's fair to say that we have unearthed, after a lot of digging, a future presenter here on Red and Blue Review. Missile, you, sir, have been an absolute superstar. Thank you so much for joining us, mate. Go on.
Sorry, did you just commend yourself for a lot of digging? I swear it was a 5-minute conversation that happened just down the road when I picked up my food. I didn't know you'd put loads of effort and time, and you congratulate yourself.
Through LinkedIn, I went through all the agencies and I found you. I just had a meeting and calls at that point. Ladies and gentlemen, out in Facebook, thank you for joining us. Nigel, Ian, thank you so much. Okay, can't do it without you two. You know that. Miss Hill, welcome aboard, mate. You've been a superstar, a ledge. And ladies and gentlemen out on Facebook land, we will see you for the review on Sunday evening for the Southampton game. Please join us then. Like, share, follow, wherever you are, whatever social you're on. Take good care. God bless. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Right.
Good night.